Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood yogi, ADHD creator, human, and I have been finding so much joy and satisfaction in resin projects, and I wanted to share with you guys this little quick, it actually was not a quick project, this project took me a while. But I wanted to try these Resin Geode coasters. I've been watching a lot of tutorials online and wanted to try my hand at it. The typical tutorial includes handles purchased from a hardware store, but I could not find any handles for my tray that I liked. So I made some myself using copper wire. It was an intense experience, but I actually love the way that they came out. And I love that you can see the handles sitting in the resin. It just looks so handmade and artistic. I'm absolutely in love with it. I did attach them with a little UV resin before the next layer of casting resin. In the center here, I poured a shimmery sparkle over the rose quartz crystals, and then around the outside, I used that coppery sparkle again to keep the coloring consistent. I really wanted to put a nice thick coat of resin down to hold these handles in because it was my first time putting handles into a project, and I just really didn't want them to just be attached with UV resin and then fall off when somebody lifted the tray. This tray probably evolved the most during this process. Sometimes I have an idea in my head and it does not quite flesh out that way. So throughout the creative process, I give myself permission to practice an attitude of non-attachment. That way, my creativity has no bounds, can rise to the surface, and express itself. I didn't like how the clear resin was just sitting on top, and I didn't feel that it was very visually stimulating. So I stimulated it. One of the things that is so unique about resin is that it consistently changes throughout the entire process. So even as it's curing, it's going to shift and change. So I have to just let go of any image of perfection that I might have in my mind because probably not going to happen. The beautiful part about that flexibility is that I'm constantly surprising myself with what I am capable of accomplishing. The beauty that I can create astounds me. I started this piece with a clear layer of resin and then inserted that picture that you guys saw me adding sparkles to in the beginning of the video right into this thin layer of resin. Once I got the picture in there, I made sure to get all the air bubbles out and get that resin seeping over the sides. And the colored resin that you see mixed up is now going to be mixed in around the edges of the photo. And I had this idea to just kind of bring the photo to life a bit more vividly. So I mixed up two different colors of blue, one a more aqua color to use in the ocean, and then I used a green for the foresty part, and then gray and silver for the clouds. And again, I had already glued on some sparkles to the rainbow just to make sure that that popped. A couple days later, I made up some geode crystals real quick with some rock salt and UV resin. I mixed in the colorants that I used in the trays and got to work attaching those little salt crystals with UV resin again. Now, since I was working outside, the sunshine actually cured these pieces for me. And you'll see that, again, because I was working outside, I did struggle a little bit with how quickly that resin cured. Baby wipes have been amazing in this project, and I've been using Dr. Crafty's resin. I really actually like it. Every single time they send me 2 mixing cups, 2 mixing paddles, which I love, and these scraping tools, which are also very helpful. Here's a peek at the trays before we start pouring the top coat. The rainbow coaster has some extra confetti on there that's really fun and glittery. This is a 1-to-1 resin. Now, I have seen in these tutorials that a 2-to-1 resin can be much better for top coats, and I think I'm going to have to explore that, especially after what happened today. Again, working outside, the resin did cure a lot faster, and I struggled a lot on the pink geode tray. I struggled with keeping the resin level, actually with all of them, because the trays are clear and the clear resin is clear. It was hard to tell if they were filled and if they were even. The table that I was working on is not even, and so I had the boxes there to try to even out my surface, but I definitely got to figure something else out because I wasn't super successful in leveling the pink tray or the rainbow piece. Happily, the brown geode tray turned out just fine, and it's actually my absolute favorite of all time so far. So again, I did a lot of tilting to try to even this tray out, and it was just a mess. I ended up making a nice big mess, which is a little bit frustrating, but I was working outside, so not so much of a worry. These cured outside overnight, and when resin cures outside, especially in the Hawaii heat, it does stay pretty flexible, so demolding these felt a little scary, but they did harden up as soon as I brought them inside. So resin will heat up and get soft in the hot sun, especially if it's not fully cured yet. This resin is supposed to be self-leveling, but I had a lot of trouble with it yesterday, and I think it's because I was outside and it was hot outside. So the resin was actually curing kind of fast, and I didn't have as long of a work time as I maybe would have with cooler temperatures. So I'm going to sand this top down in those uneven spaces and then put one more coat on it, a very thin one. These projects took longer than anticipated, but it's the first time we're learning lessons. I love how this tray turned out, and it's funny because this one has not been my favorite all the way through, but in the end, everything is just so perfect and beautiful. I love the handles so much, and the way that this heart gem just sat in there with its gold foil in the background. The fact that you can see through this tray is just so gorgeous to me. I am obsessed with it. This is my absolute favorite one so far. This one, I didn't put any handles in, and I didn't put handles in it because I actually think I want to make this a wall or window hanging instead of a tray. You can see the foil didn't quite get covered by the resin, but I kind of like that texture. I don't really want to get rid of it. I really like how it brings it out. And then watch this. Look how beautiful that is. It would just be so pretty hanging on a window. And you can even reverse it. And if you reverse it, then you see the picture underneath the resin, so you can still see the original picture on the vellum. Underneath the resin. Let's see what else we made real quick. Also finished off this piece, which is a gazing piece. There's a piece of coral inside here. And I made this crystal to give us better access.
So just look at it.
Just ponder for a second. How many life forms have touched this piece of coral?
So beautiful. I don't know if this one's done yet or not, but I love it so much. First of all, I love this piece of coral. There's something about it that makes me think of like Calvin and Hobbes.
Y'all remember those Spaceman Spiff episodes?
I feel like this is where they land. But seriously, how cute is it? I was using UV resin to top it outside, and again, it was hot yesterday, and the UV resin cured while I was pouring it out of the bottle. So that's why we have this cool texture on top. I'm thinking about putting some glitter and sparkles on here, and then doing one more coat to cover and seal. This one also has a bunch of micro bubbles. You can see them right there. So I'm thinking about also taping off parts of it and doing a UV resin coat.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. I would love to have you in my subscriber family. I'm looking to grow my channel, and I do offer guided meditations on top of these videos of me resin crafting. Love to you all. Have an awesome day.